What up, y'all? Welcome. It is right now 7:30. Story time. I'm gonna chill for a minute. It ain't a whole lot of times where I get overwhelmed by having to do something like this, I guess. But tonight there's a lot of I guess unaddressed issues that I'll have to talk about, and I'm gonna do my best to only talk about facts, not so much my feelings, because I think the facts are the most important part. The way I feel about it has no true bearing on the story in this situation. I've tried to do what I could that way up till now. I just want to make sure that I'm kind of focusing on the actual story. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. It's like I said, it's not often I get overwhelmed about having to tell my story. Like I guess maybe it is often that I get overwhelmed because each time it brings up a lot of feelings. But here's the deal. Last time I had Combine come on the show and the audio was kind of messed up, so I don't think it's the best idea to have other people come on and then not have the show or the story time sound very good because of whatever reason. And I think it was actually on my end that happened the last time. So I apologize for that. But if I don't have anybody else on, then I don't think there will be any mistakes. That way everybody gets to hear exactly what's going on. My mouth is really dry. It's because I'm a little bit nervous. How you guys doing? Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time, Central Time for a lot of you guys. Might be Pacific Time for some of you guys, Eastern Time for some of you guys. Either way, thank you for coming, hanging out with me. Usually in the morning we're listening to music, which is a lot easier than being me sitting here on the spot telling you the way that my career has gone, and hopefully I get it right. I'm winging it. So I don't have any notes. I'm not following a script. I'm just trying to tell you the way that I kind of remember it off the top of my head. So how you guys doing? I'm not anticipating on doing a lot of back and forth talking, so I just want to say hi to everybody real quick. I got my blunt. The story time tonight actually kind of starts right where the last one left off. I feel like the story didn't actually get finished the last time because it was March 10th, 2007, and the reason I can remember that date is because that was the last Simply Komplix8d show that we actually had together. It happened in Prior Lake, Minnesota at the Hollywood Bar and Grill, but my story actually starts before that. So when I was just kind of getting into White Trash Records and doing shows with Combine as Simply Komplik8d, and we had bonus, so it was like a little compilation of music and artists, and the way that was kind of set up was it would go from bonus's show to the Simply Komplik8d show, and then normally we were the headliners unless we were doing somebody else's tour, somebody else's show or whatever. So as we were growing, I was always kind of the marketing guy and the one who would be booking the shows and trying to get us into more venues and further away from home. And at that time, I think it was my cousin Amber was just graduating. And sorry, I'm going to try to stay away from getting too specific about family and people and stuff like that. But so it was my cousin's graduation. Way back when my dad used to be married, living in Minnesota. His ex-wife, after they divorced, had 2 children. The oldest girl, they were both girls, was in a relationship and had a couple of kids with Jake Crooks, who is the lead singer of Blue Felix. And that's how I met him, at my cousin's graduation party. I'd known my dad's ex-wife's daughter. She was basically part of the family most of or all of my life. So to meet him, this was the very first time. And let's just say if you know Jake, he looks a little bit different than most people. He's got a lot of tattoos. He wears his hair very either a mohawk or spiked up, or just he stands out a lot, to say that. And so in Iowa, when he's sitting at this graduation party, he was kind of sitting off to the side. Not a lot of people trying to have conversations with him, because people from Iowa just don't really deal with people who look like Jake on a regular basis. So I introduced myself to Jake and got to know him a little bit that night. He let me know that he had a studio, that he was in a band, and he was trying to do, similar to what I was doing, get himself established, get his band's name known, get out on the road, do some shows, and that kind of thing. We were both pretty much in the same spot. We were just starting out. I mean, we were both had several songs and material that we had worked on in other groups or other situations, other projects, and we were kind of bringing it into something new. So Blue Felix was just getting their start. In fact, they've gone through a lot of different band members over the years, but at that time, it was just some friends. Like, it wasn't super serious. They were just kicking it. I was trying to be more serious with my music career, but still just in Iowa. I mean, we hadn't really gone anywhere or done a whole lot yet. I had just made the transition from being Loop Dog to Izzy Dunfore. And so at that time, when I first met Jake, I gave him Loop Dog music, which isn't that impressive, to be totally truthful. I mean, it was some hip hop, but it was a beginner's it was a beginner's project for sure. And so after I gave him those, another year went by, and hold on, I'm gonna light my blunt. It's smoke time. Welcome to story time, guys. Welcome in. So truthfully, guys, this is probably the best time of my life that I'm telling you about right now, which is the reason I'm really gonna do my best to not be too negative about the story, because there were a lot of hard feelings at the time. It's a decade old. It hurt at the time, and we'll get into that. But at the beginning, everything's really good. Like I said, White Trash Records was just we had just met. It was MySpace time. So Simply Komplik8d was still recording Front Page News at this time and having a lot of fun doing it. I was going to school at the time for marketing in Des Moines. And like I said, my cousin graduated. A year goes by, her younger brother graduates. And so it's the next year, Jake is there again with, it's the exact same setup, same place, same situation, everything. Only this year, I'm a little bit more into what I'm doing. We got White Trash Records kind of popping. We've done shows. We have Front Page News. I've released Only I. We're working on the Dunfore project. So I was able to give him that music. And so after he hears that music, we talked about collaborating and doing some things together. Because like I said, a year had gone by. So after another year, he's got his situation a little bit more established to where he wants to be. I'm definitely doing what I want to be doing at this point in time, and we're both kind of kicking ass, I guess you could say. So take a hit of weed for a second, guys. Helps me calm down just a little bit. This stuff is real near and dear to my heart, so I want to get it right, and I don't want to take too long and over embellish in some of the stuff, but I want to make sure that it's, not just stretching out. But take a hit of weed. So in the time of giving them this music, Jake is working on an album with his band, and they actually put together an album of music that they had recorded, but there was something wrong with, I don't remember if it was just the artwork or the tracks didn't match up with what the artwork was, or there was something that wasn't right about the album. So they actually gave me a few boxes of their album that wasn't right. And I was giving that out everywhere that I was giving my album out. Like, here's these guys, here's us, like just trying to push everybody at the same time. And so I started taking some trips to Minnesota and hanging out with mostly Jake at first. It was just he and I. And we would kind of hang out I'd stayed in the garage the whole time. But it was opposite of his house. So like his family was in the house. We had he had his studio area and stage and live setup all in the garage, which that's where I stayed all the time. And it felt good out there. Like I really liked hanging out there. It was a good vibe. Jake and I were becoming really good friends, which was, to me, it was like a family member, and we were trying to create something together, and it just felt right. Like it wasn't something that I don't feel like we had to try. Like it just worked and it fit together, even though it was really different. Like he had his own thing going on and so did I, but when we got together, it was like this magical situation just kind of sparked off. But before that, we got together at a show which Jake had set up at Hollywood Bar and Grill. And we performed as Simply Komplik8d. And it was an interesting night. And let me just say that the vibe was really weird for us as White Trash Records, because Combine always had this anxiety about doing the shows and then getting out of the venue. Like he wanted to get out of there quick. And I knew that in this particular instance that we were going to run into an issue, because there was nowhere for him to run to that was safe. There was no home for him to get to that was not 4 or 5 hours away for him. So our home at that moment was Blue Felix's garage. So we go and we do the show, and the show was great. Like it was a lot of fun. But at the end of that show, Jake asked me if I wanted to do, just for fun, a freestyle. And he said, it's a track, basically a track. I don't know what he said, but it was called My Time to Go. And it's just, an all out go kind of a track, and energetic, and just let loose on it and have fun and whatever. And so usually a song has 3 verses. So it was going to be me and Combine and Jake of Blue Felix to finish the night out. Well, we went on earlier in the night, and then Blue Felix finished out the show. And so this particular part of the performance was the end of the night, like the very last song. And so Combine didn't feel very comfortable doing this song because it wasn't something that we had planned. It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't like, it was just going to be a freestyle, fun kind of a jam. So when we did that, I spit a verse that I call it my go-to verse. It goes like this. Sick of getting jiggy with the rickety shit, hit grits with lipstick, hit lickety split, getting jiggity with the rip, hit diggity dip with the higgity, getting rip quick diggity dip. Spit at the prick piggy's middle finger is flip, steady hitting a lit split. I was given a gift, an original lyricist, bling in the midst, in the mix of bigger figures I deliver with this. A heavy hitter is literally the pick of the litter to be the trip of the trigger, so you never get to be rid of me. Dripping humidity, sweating the credibility, but how will I ever get into heavenly facilities? Cash, cheddar, cheese, grilling money and mo, having everything I please, got plenty to dough, the motherfucking man of the millennium, yo. Just like some lunch meat, always ready to go, so you know you can't fuck with us. And that was from a song called You Can't Fuck With Us. I did actually fuck up the beginning, my fault. Either way. So that was what I spit, just on the whim. It was a freestyle, it was for fun. And so we did this, the jam. My Time to Go was the original time we did it. And I think we freestyled afterwards too, and it just went on, and it was fun. It was a good vibe. It was cool. And Jake threw an after party at his place. Nothing big, because Jake was a little bit like Combine. Like, he kind of has a little bit of anxiety too about hanging out at shows too long, and always wants to get home and get back to regular life or whatever. So I'm the opposite. I feel like if I'm part of the show, I need to be at the venue until the end of the show. That's part of the package, but everybody doesn't feel that way. So either way, we all pile into the car and head to Blue Felix's headquarters, Blue Felix Garage, whatever. Well, earlier that week, we had, and when I say me, Combine and myself had an issue with printer ink that I had bought, and it didn't fit his printer. We were trying to print CDs. We were having a lot of success, but we were also running into some really stupid problems that were a little more frustrating than they should have been at the time. And for some reason, that fucking printer ink came up in conversation as we were driving back to Jake's. And the conversation got heated. We started yelling back and forth. And there were a few people there, and I know Bonus was there, Combine was there, and I think Sparks was there too. I don't remember for certain. Those are the people that I can remember. Maybe even Finger, possibly, maybe not, because we were in my van. I do remember that. And back then, like I said, Bonus used to drive to all the shows. So Bonus had driven himself and Combine to Blue Felix's garage. Well, on the way back, after yelling for, 20 minutes, and it's a good 45 minutes from the venue to where we were headed, to Jake's, Blue Felix's headquarters, whatever you want to call it. And at the peak of the argument between Combine and I, he said 2 words that changed everything that we had done up to that point. He said, "That's it. I quit." And there was no more arguing from me. I said, okay, I don't have anything else to say. And it was silent from that point until we got to Jake's. And then when we got there, Combine actually gave me a Xanax. I used to take a bunch of fucking pills like a dumbass. So he gave me a Xanax. And when I take Xanax, I don't really remember anything. That's the truth. And so I took the Xanax. And, of course, next thing I know, it's the next day, and I'm waking up. And Combine and Bonus had left at some point. They didn't say goodbye to me. Didn't let me know they were leaving. The next day, I think Bonus had texted me, said something was wrong with the car or something, is why they had to leave at 4:30 in the morning, I think it was. Which we had just got back at 3 a.m. or maybe 3:30 a.m. But it was like late, early in the morning, whatever you want to say. So, yeah, they took off, didn't say goodbye. So that was kind of like the end of Simply Komplix8d. And at that point, we had Tuff Bong Records going on. We had already started recording for that, but there was problems with Combine and Sid, because Combine didn't want to always show up on Sundays because he felt like football was his family time, and we were only really booked in the studio on Sundays, which was a really big conflict. So it was like all these things just finally exploded. That was the end of it. And I was going to move forward with what I wanted to do. And then from, being Izzy Dunfore with Simply Komplik8d, it became Izzy Dunfore, the answer's never, and we never stop, quit, or give up was kind of added to the I don't know, the motto, whatever you want to say, the mission statement. And that was because of that. Like, I don't believe in quitting, man. Like, if you're in something that you are committed to, you don't quit on your people. And at that point, I wasn't going to allow somebody to quit on me again and again and again. Like, you get to quit once and then it's over with, done for. So moving forward, I felt like Blue Felix was going to be an awesome group to work with. And I tried to get them involved with Tuff Bong Records and actually got their they were recording for In Line to Die. So I got them hooked up at Sid's studio where we were recording Tuff Bong Records. Keeps going out. At the time, I was recording my my self-titled album. And so I don't remember where they were touring at, but I know they had just done like a few shows. Blue Felix, I'm talking about now. And look at this. I got this out. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'll try to show it. This reminds me of probably the best time of my life, truthfully. This is the self-titled album that we were recording at that time. It was supposed to be a Simply Komplik8d album, but because of the issues with Combine and then we split up, it ended up being an Izzy Dunfore album. So the Izzy Dunfore album was actually the only album that Tuff Bong Records completed because I was always on Sid's ass, like, let's get in the studio, let's get in the studio, let's get in the studio, let's record, let's record, let's record. Because at that time, Slipknot was on a break. I knew it wasn't going to last forever. As soon as they hit the road again on a world tour, I wasn't going to mean fucking jack shit, which ended up being the truth. But that was the feeling I had in my heart at the time. Like, from the start, I knew that once Slipknot kicked back in, I was not any type of priority for a record label that any member of that band was going to be running. So either way, I got Blue Felix to record in Tuff Bong Records studio. And when I say I just made the connection. I didn't pay for it. It was paid for by Blue Felix and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't want to take any credit, but I did make the connection. And the cool thing about that session was we got together and I wrote 2 verses that were written right there on the spot. And then we recorded after they had recorded all their drums and vocals and had just run themselves into the ground in the studio, man. Like, Jake was damn near laying on the fucking floor when he was finishing his last vocals. But I recorded My Time to Go. He recorded his. And that day it was just like a kind of a bonding day for all of us. Sid, Mustache Pete, Blue Felix. And at the time it was the original Blue Felix. Like, and when I say that, I guess I mean they were all homies. Like, it had nothing to do with being the best players or, you know, having to try to be the most successful band in the world. It was more about, you know, they were friends who grew up together and it was just fun to be around them. It was funny to be around them. And we had tons of fun together. We really did. And I think other people always felt that too. So either way, My Time to Go became a song that we would always close out shows that we started doing together. And so it was like if Blue Felix had a show, Izzy Dunfore would show up and we would, you know, close out the song with My Time to Go. Or if I had a show, and at the time I was really trying to get involved in the Minneapolis hip hop scene. I had been in Iowa for just say 3 years nonstop, like, and you can only do so much in Iowa. Like, it's just, there's not a lot there, especially for a hip hop artist. There's only so many places that you can play so often. So I was trying to grow, expand, get my name out. Minnesota was popping. Like, the hip hop scene up there was full of people who got along very well. They worked together very well. They were putting out great music. I was jealous. I wanted to be a part of that. And as an Iowan, I was on the outside looking in. Like I said, this was MySpace, time, era, whatever. So it was easy to see what was happening in these other scenes. You could go to the top 100 artists or whatever and see who was hot and who was putting out new music and who people were listening to. So it was super easy to network with those people, and I wanted to work with all of them. So I was always trying to reach out and, this, that, and the other. So I felt like I had a good spot being kind of aligned with the heavy metal group Blue Felix, and at the same time trying to hang out with hip hop guys and hip hop artists and be a part of that scene. It just felt like the right thing to do at the time, I guess, because I was working with the DJ of Slipknot. So like it all just seemed to fit together in my head. So after Simply Komplik8d and White Trash Records was pretty much just wiped clean from my plans and what I was doing, at first Bonus and Fate and everybody who used to be a part of White Trash Records as well was like caught up in between, in the middle, and I know they were, and I don't feel like I was easy on any of them. Like I kept everybody in the middle as long as I could, I suppose. Like at the time it was kind of dramatic or whatever. We were getting a little bit of attention from it. Not that that was my goal. Like I was just trying to make the best decision for my career, but we were having a battle, and basically they made a song, and I know Combine talked about a song he said he made about Sid, but it was actually about me. It did talk about Sid and Tuff Bong, but it was absolutely directed at me, because at the time I had booked a show that had Gruesome, who actually kind of took my place in what was White Trash Records, became the next evolution of whatever they were working on. I think it was Prone Records, and then they started working with Mission Infect, and they started getting bigger too on their own, which was awesome. But I hated it at the time, truthfully. Like it sucked to see them leave me or me leave them and them be successful and me. I was kind of sitting stuck. Like, yeah, we were having a lot of fun doing a lot of shows, but in my heart, I knew that I was in a hard spot. Like I was really kind of being just shelved, because all of a sudden I had a contract that I had to adhere to. I was being told what I could and couldn't do, who I could and couldn't have on stage. If I was trying to have my friends come up and perform with me, I was getting yelled at and bawled out about it because that didn't look professional. And, what if my producer was trying to bring in professional people to watch my show, which he never did, but what if he was? And all these hypothetical questions that never even came close to being real, but that I had to always try to abide by. And so this is around 2008. So end of 2007, because my self-titled album was released December 1st, and there was an ice storm in Des Moines. Blue Felix came down for that. We put on a show pretty much for ourselves, but it was one of the best nights I've ever had. It was just fucking fun. So 2008 was kind of I guess the greatest worst year of my entire life, because it was like everything was happening at the same time. I was getting this record deal. I was in the studio recording. I had also just finished up recording like 3 projects with White Trash Records, which unfortunately it just imploded, and they were talking about, oh, we're going to take you off of everything. You're not going to get any of the profits, blah, like everything is just fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Back and forth. Me too. Like I played my own role in it. Like it wasn't like I was a victim. I was definitely stoking the fire at that point in time. But when Combine was talking, you might remember he talked about Dave calling him and talking about the song that was up on MySpace. And at that time, the guys in Blue Felix, they had my back. And to me, that meant the world, because it was like I didn't know where to really turn. I didn't feel like anybody was really on my side. It was like I had a bunch of people who wanted to be at least in some sort of coalition, but they really didn't want to, put in too much effort or put in any financial backing or do any marketing for me or give me too many contacts, or didn't want to give me a target. Basically, they just wanted me to sit there and watch them and be a part of their plan, I guess, which didn't have anything to do with me. And so, in working with all these people, a lot of cool music was made on all sides of the table, I guess, because there were 3: Tuff Bong, Blue Felix, 4 actually, me, because I'm kind of by myself, and then White Trash Records. So we were all, at one point, kind of cool. Never really all the way, I guess, for some, but in my eyes, we were all one team, one group of fucking misfits, basically. People who wanted to kick some ass, and who people had told that they weren't going to be shit their whole life, coming together to be shit and do shit and kick some shit. And that's exactly what the fuck we did everywhere we went, and it was fun. And I guess the point where things kind of changed, can I keep this blunt going, was beginning in 2008. We're both doing pretty well. Blue Felix was doing a lot of Battle of the Bands at the time, and these were sold out shows because there was 10 to 15 of the most popular metal and rock bands who all had to sell so many tickets to be a part of these Emergenza Fest and different Battle of the Bands that the companies were profiting off of, not the bands themselves by any means. So, fuck it, I'm gonna set the blunt down. So, doing all those shows, I would jump up on the stage with Blue Felix. We would finish out with My Time to Go, and it was just fun. We had a good time. The song was fucking a riot. I went out on, we're all still, Tuff Bong's cool at this time. Blue Felix is cool. We're all kind of we're all on the outside of this circle. Blue Felix and Tuff Bong have their own situation where, they did the studio thing. They weren't all the way satisfied with what they got out of that deal. And so there was a little bit of friction. And then a little bit later on, they hired a manager. And at that point, I didn't really hire a manager, but I guess I kind of got a manager by having the association with Tuff Bong Records. And at first, it was a man named Dave, okay? And Dave was a friend of Sid's. They had their own problems, and when their issues came to a head, their issues created issues for the record label, which were eventually put onto me, and that's why everything really didn't work with Tuff Bong Records. But even after Tuff Bong, Sid still wanted to try and work with me. I had a real bad taste in my mouth at that point. Good segue for a drink. And it had been a year on my contract. And at that point, I was like, I put it out in the air that I probably wasn't going to re-sign with Tuff Bong Records. And it was at that point where they kind of started saying, well, we never signed you in the first place, and we never signed that contract. And some weird things started being talked behind my back. And so I just kind of tried to face forward and not pay attention to that stuff and keep working on the music that I had created at Tuff Bong, because when that record label dissolved, I paid for the rights to the music that I made there. And so I still had songs that were unreleased, which were actually the first songs that we had worked on with Simply Komplik8d when we were trying to do that album or that project, which were songs like About to See, Home, Mama Meant, there were several. I think there were 8. I don't remember. There were 8 of them. So anyway, as I was working on those songs and finishing them, I decided that I was going to move to Minnesota. Well, I guess let me back up a little bit. Before all that, there was a tour. It was called the Voodoo Tour. and it was early 2008. So we released my self-titled album December 1st, 2007. And in March of 2008, we had planned this tour that was set up with somebody that I had never heard of through MySpace. His stage name was Frostbite, who, rest in peace, Frostbite has passed away since, just about a year ago. But so Frostbite was the promoter for this tour, and the whole time I was telling everybody, like, I don't know who this guy is. I've never heard of him. I don't know anybody who has ever heard of him. He's saying that this is supposed to be a worldwide tour. Like, he's making some pretty big claims to something and bringing in people that I have no idea who they are and claiming that he's a headliner. And, you know, there was just a lot of things that didn't add up. But I guess at that point in time, it didn't matter what I thought, because Frostbite had talked with Dave at the time, who was still, I guess, trying to run this record label, which wasn't happening at all. There was already friction. It was already pretty much all bad, because, and I guess I don't know if I talked much about that, but when the self-titled album was made, we went through a company in Florida. Half of the albums were sent to us, and there was probably 200 of them that were broken, damaged. The cases were all busted up. The box that it came in was all folded in and looked like it had been kicked around. And so Dave and Tuff Bong Records basically said, we're not going to pay you for the rest of the CDs until you fix the broken ones that you sent. And this was the beginning of the end of everything, because at that point, the production company who was making the CDs said, well, fuck you then. We're not going to make the other 2,500 CDs that you've already ordered that we've made. And because my record label wouldn't pay for the production of my album, or, you know, the actual physical copies, the company decided to trash them. I never got them, and that was always an issue, because I think they paid, let's just say $5,000 for 5,000 copies. That's reasonable, $1 a copy, whatever, maybe a little less. But because they got into that battle, as an artist, my career was affected, because, you know, I was supposed to be selling those albums for $10 a piece. So if there's 5,000 of them, that's $50,000, you know? Because of the problem and the issues that the record label was having, they made a special set of them, like, I guess before they even had sent the broken ones. So Dave had given me those to try and sell before the album was even released, so I could eat. I was absolutely broke. Like, I at the time, I had like maybe an ounce of weed at the time I was peddling to try to make enough money to buy groceries. I was living at the junkyard. Luckily, my aunt was letting me stay there for free. And it wasn't that she was letting me stay there for free. It was that I wasn't paying my rent. So, like I said, guys, these stories are real, because these are the parts, I guess, that you might probably not know about. Like, times were tough. I was still in Iowa. I felt like my record label was letting me down. My record label and friends before that with White Trash Records hated me. So they were all, you know, disrespecting me, dissing me, whatever you want to say, you know, talking shit. I was trying to do my Tuff Bong thing, but they weren't really helping me out. In fact, they were trying to hold me back because of whatever issues they had between them. So at the time, it felt like the only thing that really was going right was the relationship with me and Blue Felix. So I spent a lot of time in Minnesota, just going back and forth, not even really hanging out in Iowa a lot anymore. I was having a hard time. The money from the shows that I was getting was covering the gas that I was using to drive back and forth. A lot of times I would hopefully maybe get a gracious bag of weed given to me so I could get high. I sure the fuck couldn't afford it. Not the kind of weed I like to smoke anyway. At the time, I mean, there was, very little garbage-ass brickweed, seedy, fucking stemmy, brown-ass brown shit, but who wants to smoke that, But my friends at the time looked out for me and made me feel like I was a millionaire, even though I had nothing. And I don't know that I've ever said that to everybody in the whole world. Like, when I lived in the junkyard, I was down to nothing, like absolutely nothing. And I mean, below nothing, really. Like, I was sitting there trying to figure out how am I going to get $10 so I can go to the gas station and get a fucking burrito? But I guess at that same time, I was writing more music than I had ever written ever before. And still to this day, more than I've ever been able to create. So, like I said, the best and worst time of my life. Like, I felt like I was a real artist. Like, things were really starting to churn outside of home. I was, going to another state, making friends, doing shows. There was a lot of people there. They were having fun. They liked what they saw. I had fun, so I kept going back. And everything was really good. And then, like I said, this tour happened. And it wasn't good at all. Like, I knew from the start it was pretty much going to be a disaster. I took my cousin with me to be a merch guy. Fate went with me to be the DJ. And then myself. You guys hear the song Trouble by Michael G. That's where I met Michael G. LVP is Lyrics Via Paradise. They were from Mendocino County, California. And so they met us in, we all met up in Oceanside, California, but so there's more to the story, I guess, before that. They flew us to the wrong fucking airport. They flew us to San Francisco. The reason that happened is because, okay, let me show you this, I guess. Halo Black was sponsoring the tour, all right? Sorry, I'm trying to show it, then the glare's in the way. Halo Black. They were the sponsors for the tour. And this poster kind of sums up the whole fucking crazy time. Put it in my spot so you can see it a little bit better. But yeah, these guys were from California, had a clothing line. It was, at the time looked real cool. The designs were just fresh. Halo Black, it was a cool name. They were sponsoring the tour. They were supposed to create all this tour gear and merch and, really help us set it off. And that was the honest to God plan. I know that in their heart, that's what the plan was. Now, once we were flown to the wrong airport, we were sitting there for 3 hours with nowhere to go. And so there were 3 guys, CEO in Halo Black, and the C called the O and said, hey, we got a problem. We flew the guys to the wrong airport. Can you go pick them up? Well, O was fucking pissed. He's like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, I ain't got shit to do? You just want me to go pick up some motherfuckers I don't know? What am I supposed to do with them? Just kick it with them for hours? And I feel that. Like, not only does he not know us, but we're in California where nobody gives a fuck about anybody else. Let's be honest. And so here we are for 3 hours waiting for a stranger to come pick us up. And he is not happy when he does finally get there. Picks up 3 dudes, 3 white fucking kids from Iowa, rappers. He's a black fucking vampire. And I guess there's a lot of extreme twists to this part of the story, but he works at a sex club. It's called the Power Exchange, which is where the E of this situation, CEO, is the manager of, because his dad owns the Power Exchange. If you want to have a good time, go to San Francisco and check out the Power Exchange. Power Exchange is one of the only sex clubs in the whole entire world. You can go there and have sex in public legally. Just a quick tidbit. You go there and you have to take your clothes off if you want to not go through the whole building, which is 3 floors and about 40,000 square feet worth of area. All different themed rooms like jails and castles and kings and queens thrones and just different themed rooms. There's porn playing in every room. There's condoms. There's hand sanitizer. I don't know if they're still open right now because of COVID. I guess that could be all totally different now. But at the time, this is the only sex club in the world. And this is where they took us. So we went from the airport to the Power Exchange in downtown San Francisco with somebody who did not want to hang out with us and who had to go to work at this sex club. And so here we are. The club's not open when we get there. I think it opens at like maybe 10 p.m. So we got there around like maybe 8 o'clock. So it's a couple hours where we're just like wandering around this huge building full of sex, full of whips and chains and masks and just things that, you know, like the fucking Gimp wears on Pulp Fiction and just different shit, you know? I mean, I ain't saying it's bad. I ain't saying it's wrong. It's just a little twisted. And some people really get off and really like that shit. And that's fine with me. It was just the first time that I had ever been there. So we go to the Power Exchange, sit for a few hours. They show up after the club opens. I won't tell that whole story, but let's just say San Francisco has a whole different type of people. So a lot of transvestite people come to the club, the Power Exchange, and you can have couples. The ladies are free. There's all sorts of little small rules for safety and such, but you know, it's just a very open place. So there were a lot of things that we got to see that we weren't really necessarily expecting, would probably be the best way to say it. We weren't expecting any of that. We just kind of got thrown into it. So good experience, very unique. Only time I've been there. There was another place in Las Vegas that they opened up, a side spot. There was also the Power Exchange, Las Vegas. We did go there one time also, so I guess it's not the only time I've been to a Power Exchange, but that was about a year later or so. Either way, we got picked up from the Power Exchange, got rescued from the sex club, and so 7 hours away, we had to drive down to Oceanside, and that's where we were headquartered for the tour. And we did a show in Eureka. Is it Eureka, California? Redding, that area. So it was supposed to be the tour kickoff, and it was like a pool hall. I don't remember the name. Sticks, maybe? Something like that. Anyway, we got there. I set up the gear. And as soon as I set up everything, I got yelled at for having a duffel bag. And I said, we're setting up the show, man. Like, it turned out the guy was the owner, and I didn't know that. But so I just told him, like, you know, we're performing here tonight. And he was like, fuck you. There ain't nobody fucking performing here tonight. I was like, oh, fair enough, you know. And at that point, I'd done enough shows to where when somebody's acting like that, you just kind of blow it off and you don't pay much attention to it. It's a bar. You just figure somebody's probably drinking a little too much, you know, like you don't engage, that's for sure. You walk away and you do your job. Because I'm not there to try to fucking have anything to do with the bar's business other than to try to help them sell drinks. I'm there to do a show. And after we set up and start doing this music, they said, what are you fucking doing here? And so it turns out that we were booked, but we weren't booked. Like, we weren't welcome, which was really odd. So we didn't get paid that night, but they did let us do the show, which was kind of cool of them, I guess. It was a good show. I think there was maybe 75 people there, so it was worth. The second show was supposed to be in Reno, Nevada, which was a pretty good drive away from where we were in Oceanside. So we had to rent vehicles and get ourselves there. So when that happened, which we did successfully, and keep in mind, like I said, at this point in my life, guys, I'm fucking poor. I'm broke. I really don't have the money to even rent my own car. I think 3 of us chipped in so we could all get together and have a ride. And even before that, the Halo Black guys let us drive the Halo Black-a-lack, which you can see in the Get High video. but I'm actually going to get to that. I'm going to go long tonight because why not, right? So we're in Oceanside, California, headed to Reno, Nevada. We get to Reno. The place that we're playing is Club 210 North, which is normally not a venue of any sorts other than a nightclub. So again, kind of a weird vibe, feels kind of strange. However, I will say that the management was fucking awesome at that place. Like, was happy to see us, knew that we were coming, absolutely knew that we were going to do a show that night. The weird part about that show was that club does not open up on a Wednesday night. They're only open Fridays and Saturdays, and I don't think that they had actually been open all spring long up until that point. So that was a very off and unique situation for the venue, club, whatever you want to call it. It was 210 North. So we set up, everybody got their sound check in. I think we actually had maybe 3 or 5 people show up. I know 2 of them were the NIC's cousin from Carson City that they had driven in to see, which Blue Felix, that was the drummer from Blue Felix, the NIC, Nick Molina, his cousin, and his name don't matter, but it does matter, but I'm not trying to be naming everybody. Either way, he was one of them that came. So like I said, we're all still good at this time. This tour didn't go good. So I'm stuck in Oceanside, California. I decide that because the tour's not going well, the third show, I was going to let them go off and just do the show by themselves. I think it was in Salt Lake City, Utah. The show didn't go well, and some bad things happened, and things didn't go right. And at that point, I just had to say, I have to take my name off of this tour. I can't be a part of it because it's not happening, and I'm doing my best not to be a part of bullshit. You know what I mean? Because it just, in my head, I feel like everything that I'm trying to do all the time is just, it's all on shaky ground all the time, and I'm really starting to get fed up with it because there's no reason for it. Like, if we're prepared to do these events and do these shows and do these tours, everybody else should be just as ready as we are to be a part of it and to come and have a good time, and none of that was happening. So I was getting frustrated. I was calling Sid, yelling at him, saying, why am I even out here? Like, you sent me on this wild goose chase. I tried to tell you this was going to happen. Well, at the time, him and Dave had their huge blowout, so I'm kind of stuck. Like, nobody wants to fucking deal with the situation whatsoever, not on any side. So I'm just like, okay, I'm in California. I'm here. Let's do something. So I hit MySpace hard, like a fucking keyboard soldier. And at that point, I think I emailed everybody I could in Los Angeles and San Diego and Oceanside and everywhere. Absolutely fucking everywhere. And I got a lot of responses, and I even got in trouble because I hit up B-Real from Cypress Hill and wanted to be on his mixtape. Supposedly Sid had already got me on the mixtape, and because I hit him up, I didn't get to be on the mixtape after that, and blah, blah, blah. There was all sorts of dumb shit that I had to fucking hear. Like, this is the reason why, because you're working so hard, you're not going to get this opportunity now because, you talked to this person and you weren't supposed to. It's like, well, I guess if I'm networking that hard, then fuck me, huh? So anyway, we're out in Oceanside, California, and I'm like, man, let's shoot a video or something, like, what the fuck are we doing? So we start shooting the Get High video. Why not, right? We got a fucking medical state, few friends in Los Angeles with a medical card. Let's get our asses there, have him buy some weed. Let's do this. Like, let's kick it. So we hit LA, took as many CDs as I could, started giving them away, hit Sunset Strip. A lot of people out there stand out there and try to sell their CDs. I started giving them away. I figure, fuck, man, it's good to get them in their hands. Hopefully somebody listens to them. And I got in trouble for that. Got fucking cussed at for giving all my inventory away. What are you giving all your albums away for? I'm like, well, man, I'm out here stuck. Like, why not get the music out? Why not let people hear what we've worked on? Like, this is why we made the music, so people could hear it. Like, the fuck do you want me to do? So I made the Get High video. And if you watch the Get High video, you'll see at the beginning it says the unofficial Get High video. And that's because I got in trouble for making the fucking Get High video because it wasn't, there wasn't a budget for it. Well, nobody ever gave me a fucking budget, ever. Not ever. So, yeah, everything that you see out there that I've done was done on my dollar, which, like I said, at the time was zero. Kind of, no pun intended, but good old number zero. It's about what he put into. Let me say this, though. He did a lot of production. Him and Mustache Pete did a lot of really cool fucking work for me on the music that we worked on together. I give them credit for it all day. And legally, I gave them credit for it like I should have. Half of all the fucking credit through a lawyer. And I don't think they realized that I did all that shit. But either way, I'll keep going with the story because that all does come into it eventually. So the tour isn't going very well. I pull my name out, done with the tour. I don't remember why, and I don't think it was me, but two of the guys went to Iowa, and so there was like a break between everybody for like 2 or 3 days. And then we all came back together. Like the Halo Black guys went to meet with Sid at Tuff Bong Records, and then they were making plans. And then they flew back to the Halo Black house where we were all at. And there were all these plans talked about. And then while that happened, this miraculous situation came to be where the E, do you remember the C, the E, and the O, the E, and I might have the letters mixed up, I don't know. But Simon Mead was one of the 3 guys who were the Halo Black people. So Jimmy Knight was the guy who picked us up at the airport, the vampire. Josh was his dad was the the power exchange guy, and Josh was kind of the idea and financial guy in Halo Black. And then Cy actually worked at BCBG, which is a clothing line, as a colorist. So he had those connections, and so the 3 of them were able to do this Halo Black stuff. And like I said, they were supposed to sponsor this tour. Tour didn't go well. Record label didn't go well. So I'm out in Oceanside, unable to get home. It's not that I didn't want to go home. I didn't have any money to get home. So I'm stuck in California, decide to do the Get High video, get in trouble for doing the Get High video. We have to label it the unofficial Get High video. And in the meantime, Cy, who works at BCBG, also works with a man named Day, who today is a music industry turning into a mogul kind of a guy, like helping independent artists get paid for their music and making sure they're getting publishing rights. And 2 thumbs up to Day. Good people, good shit. But either way, Day loved the song. Are you ready? My Time to Go. So this is how it all kind of comes together. Day hears the song My Time to Go. Cy was listening to that shit because I was at Cy's house, was telling him all about Blue Felix. Like I said, I was trying to make all these connections and bring everybody together so we could all enjoy this fucking success that I knew that we could all have. I was excited. I was pumped. And I was just recently graduated from marketing, man. I was like, yeah, this is the way it's supposed to go right here. It's all meant to be. It's all going to happen. Putting the ball together to fucking slam it down the fucking hoop. Like, slam dunk. So, we get this gig, Blue Felix and Izzy Dunfore, at a Hollywood young Hollywood mansion party in the Hollywood Hills, Los Angeles, California. Red carpet event. And we'd done, I'd say probably 5, 6, 7 shows together at that time, from the point where March 10th, 2008 where we did the last Simply Komplik8d show, till this point, which was around the end of March. I don't remember the exact date, but around the end of March 2008. So the funny thing about this young Hollywood mansion party, which was a red carpet event where celebrities are invited. So we had like Bill Maher was there, Tom Arnold, fucking Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite was smoking weed with us, Kid from Kid and Play. It was, just not super duper huge famous people, but most definitely some recognized names, which is fun. I hate name dropping, but those dudes were definitely at the party that we headlined. So Jake's sister actually was living out in the area in the Hollywood Hills at the time. So her friends were hosting the party. So I think that he felt like there was a little bit more of a connection for him or them or whatever you want to say at that particular event. But it was a co-headline situation. I would do a song, Blue Felix would do a song. I would do a song, or maybe it was 2 songs at a time. I don't know. But it was fucking sick. Like, it was one of those events where it was, the tennis court in the back bottom of the guest house where the pool was there, and like the guest house was the open part for everybody to hang out in. There was wine everywhere. People were just having a good time. There were DJs down here, and the tennis court was all lit up, and there were models, and there were, the hairstylists were all there. So I was giving out CDs to everybody, man. I was like, yeah, this is it. This is like, something's going to connect here. Like, no doubt about that. So we get all set up at this Hollywood Mansion party. And this is like probably the coolest thing I've ever done in my life, truthfully. And also that this is kind of the night where everything just kind of switched up just a little bit. So for some reason, and I don't remember why, but we all set up at the party. Maybe it was just because there was time to go do so. We all went and ate somewhere between the sound check and the actual start of the event. So when it was time to go back up the hill, which is not an easy trek, and it was, 6 o'clock, so it's like rush hour time in Los Angeles. And so we were at this stop, and everybody jumps in the van, Blue Felix's van, myself, my merch guy, my DJ, and it's super crowded, and we're in the back or whatever, and I still don't know why. Because there were a lot of people in the van, and there were definitely people who could have got out other than me. But for some reason, I was the one they decided shouldn't have been in the van at that time. So I got out, my DJ got out, Fate, and Simon Mead got out. And the rest of them went up the hill and arrived perfectly on time for red carpet treatment, interviews, publicity, just everything you can ask for in a Hollywood event. And I got left behind to hail a cab. So when I got there, my merch guy, my cousin, who got to ride in the van up to the party, runs up to me. He's like, dude, you missed all this stuff. Like, you missed this interview, and they were taking pictures and all this stuff. And I was like, cool, man. I'm here now. Let's do the show, whatever. But in my heart, man, I still to this day, I feel like, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't on purpose, but it hurt like it was. Either way, moving forward. So the event was cool. We did the show. We partied. It was, like I said, red carpet, Hollywood event, good time. Yay. We had a fucking blast. We did My Time to Go. They asked us to do more after our sets. And so we did more show. It was cool. And then we parted ways, and I stayed out in California just a little bit longer, not a whole lot. At that point, my plan was to go actually to Fate's parents' retirement home in Arizona because it was a few hours away. Hopefully stay there for a week. I booked a gig in Phoenix. It was going to pay enough money for me to buy a plane ticket to get home, but it was going to be 2 weeks away, and I just needed a place to stay, and I figured we had been in Oceanside for, at this point, about 30 days. I'm sure they were getting tired of us being there. We had contributed to some food, but very little. There was no money coming in. I was broke, like I said, and I ain't saying that because I'm proud of it. I'm saying it because it was fucking true, man, and it was hard. Like, I I have a big ego, and that shit fucking sucked. But I was poor, and I was not home. I wasn't in a place where I could be comfortable. And so I had to always try to make decisions that were best for everybody who was part of my group or my crew or who was with me. And I couldn't even necessarily, you know, like, I don't want to say provide for, because I'm not anybody's fucking daddy or fucking parent or whatever, but at the same time, they're out there for me, you know? So I do feel a certain responsibility to at least their you know, well-being and some value in their time. So we went to Arizona. My cousin, merch guy, got tired of hanging out pretty much, so he went home early, which I don't blame him. I would have too. And so Fate and I were just kind of left in Arizona, hanging at his parents' place for a couple of weeks. Luckily, they were, you know, gracious enough to let us stay there and just kind of hang out and let some time pass by. I booked a show at a place called Iguana Joe's in Phoenix, Arizona. Did the show, and then they tried to screw me out of half the paycheck. So I didn't end up having enough money to buy a plane ticket home. And at that point, I was really, really pissed off. And that was when I called Sid, and I was like, look, dude, I'm trying my fucking ass off out here. You don't even call to check on me. You don't care how the fuck I'm doing. I've been stuck out here for a month and a half at this point. Like, I did a show trying to get home. I just got stiffed on half the pay. Like, I'm tired of all this, bro. And he's like, well, what do you want me to do, man? And I'm like, I don't want you to do anything, man. I'm going to figure it out. But I want you to know that I'm fucking tired of it, you know? Like, this is all just unfair. Nobody signed up for this. So time goes on. You know, I get home eventually. The venue did end up coming through with the other half of the check 24 hours later, because I sent them the emails that they had agreed to pay me a certain amount of money. I will say their excuse was because they had given me a bar tab, but that was an extra actual part of the deal, which I was able to show them. Either way, small details. I made it home. And at that point, I was being a little bit more vocal about my situation, because the contract with Tuff Bong was over. I was still halfway cool with Sid, even though I was like, the fuck's going on? You know, like, I feel like I was just ditched. And he had said that he still wanted to work with me, whatever. He wanted to try to talk with Strange Music to get me signed with them or sell my contract or my act or whatever. He wanted to talk with Suburban Noise, which at that point they were kind of tanking. They weren't doing a whole lot and not getting along. So it was a lot of things that he said he was going to do, which he said he was going to do shit the whole fucking time, and nothing ever really came to be. Except, you know, the Rockstar Mayhem tour, which they did, would have been July-ish, June, July, August of 2008. You know, and I got to be a part of that. Again, coolest time of my life. I think I talked a little bit about that already, you know, doing 3 different setup shows a day, about 10 minutes a time, not a huge long set, but 3 sets a day in 110 degree weather in, you know, southern states, Texas, and just St. Louis, like hot places. And no per diem, no pay. So I'm still broke as a joke, Izzy, doing shows, setting up Sid's DJ setup, in his RV, on the back of his RV, because he broke his heels. So I'm pushing him around to interviews. I'm, you know, making sure he gets up and gets to the fucking bathroom in the morning, making sure he gets to his radio interviews on time, making sure he gets to stage curfews on time, making sure he gets back to RV curfews on time, pulling equipment in and out for, you know, the shows that we were doing. We were doing after parties for all the, you know, for Disturbed and Slipknot and fucking Dragon Force and Five Finger Death Punch and Walls of Jericho, Red Chord, you know, all these bands that would get together after the shows and just kick it and get super wasted and whatever. I was pulling the music out so everybody could kick it and party and have a good time or whatever. Then after everybody was done partying, I'd have to put it back. So in doing all of that, by the end of it, I was just sick of it, you know, because I wasn't making any money. I was working harder than anybody on the fucking tour. I was lucky if I got fed. I had to get so much work done to just make it to lunch if I was lucky enough to get to the catering tent. If I was, I got the cold breakfast, not the warm lunch. Like, you had to pay for that. I didn't have any money. I asked for per diems, which was 15 fucking dollars a day. I got told no. That wasn't budgeted, so no money for me. That was tough, man. Like, I'm out there. I really cared about what Sid thought at that time, like, a lot. DJ Starscream, Number Zero, Grammy-winning, fucking award-winning artist, Slipknot. Like, to me, at the time, wow. Like, I felt like I was fucking getting somewhere. And it just kept being a fucking kick in the face, kick in the teeth, kick in the dick. Finally, I'm just like, enough's enough. Like, I can't just continue to give and 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 not get anything in return other than yelled at and told that I'm trying too hard and I'm working too much at it, and I'm crossing boundaries that I shouldn't be crossing, and all I'm doing is trying, man. Like, I wanted this thing to get off the ground. I wanted to be successful, because if I was successful, I could help other people. And even at the time, even though I was mad at White Trash Records and they were all talking shit about me, my goal was still to get those guys back and lift us all up. And like, it wasn't that I wanted to leave them behind. It was that the opportunity was leaving them behind. And if I was going to have an opportunity, I had to do the same thing. And all that shit was just hard for me to deal with. And it all just kept happening and kept happening. So around that time, we made the video of About to See. Now, there's a really big difference between Get High and About to See. So Get High is the only video we did for the self-titled album, which I feel might be my best album. Like, it from front to back is fucking great. And it's not, I don't say that because it's mine. I say that because I can still pop it in and listen to that bitch. And there's not a lot of other artists that I can do that with, and not a lot of other albums I can do that with. Very few. Mine is one of them. The self-titled album, it was something that I believed in, and I still think that everybody who worked on the project believed in as well. I just think they lost track because their careers started happening again. So anyway, we do the About to See video, and I see Sid. We actually do a show together in Omaha, Nebraska. And if I remember right, I could be wrong, doesn't matter if I am, but I think it was a show for his birthday. So Sid, his girlfriend, and you call maybe bodyguard, whatever. Not really bodyguard, but they were all there. We did the show. It was a good show. We had a good time. Sid saw the About to See video, which About to See is also one of the songs that we had worked on Simply Komplik8d together. So it was one of the songs that we didn't release on the self-titled album, but it was already worked on, already recorded, should have probably been on the self-titled album, but wasn't. So that whole time, I had been working on the Fields of Opportunity album, which it's a double disc. Like, there's 34 songs on it. And at that point, that was my goal. Be an artist that is independent, underground, with a double disc album. And at that time, I guess Tech Nine was just releasing Killer. He didn't do that before it was my goal, but whatever. He is another one that has a double disc album and is an independent artist. So salute to him for that. But the Fields of Opportunity had songs that I had recorded at Tuff Bong Records with Mustache Pete and Sid and Combine, that Combine was taken off of, and we were using for kind of just to build around for the Fields of Opportunity and to start off Dunfore Records. So we did the video, About to See, and Sid said, dude, that video is great, man. Like, where'd you come up with all that stuff? Like, he was really just praising me for it, which felt good. Finally, for the first time, he was like, nice work. He didn't say, you fucking need to call that unofficial. He didn't say, like, nothing bad about it. He was like, that's really cool, man. First time. I was like, fucking A, dude. So at the same time, I have some crazy weird connections from my little ass town of Baxter, Iowa. But at the same time, in the back burner, one of my old babysitters works at the House of Blues in Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas, Nevada. And at the time, he's doing the booking and decides that since I just come out with a new album and I'm working with Slipknot's DJ, that why not book you guys together and give you guys 2 nights to perform, a Friday night and Memorial Day Monday at the House of Blues in Las Vegas, Nevada. Give you the VIP room, show you the real deal, have a real party with real ballers, real shit. And I think that sounds great. I like that idea. So my guy Big John sets it all up, gets everything rolling, and so that's going to be the next thing after we do the Omaha show. We're talking about it like, yeah, Vegas is going to be great, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to kick ass. We're going to get paid. I think we made $10,000. Like, this is what he's saying to me. This is Sid talking to me. All gravy, looking good. Like, fucking right, dude. Cool. So in the meantime, like I said, I'm spending more time up in Minnesota, getting got into a relationship up there. Not going to go too far into that because that's a little more personal than my music career, but got into a relationship up there, which kind of does have an effect on the Blue Felix relationship, but either way, we're not quite there yet. Like, we're still talking, but there's a lot of backbiting going on because Blue Felix was supposed to be on Tuff Bong, but then all of a sudden, after the Hollywood Mansion party, they got a new manager, and that new manager was not getting along with Tuff Bong and their management, which, okay, that is also another part of it. Management switch spots. Tuff Bong doesn't exist. I need to quit calling it that. Whatever the evolution of Tuff Bong became Mach 2.8. I guess it does have a name. I wasn't really a part of Mach 2.8, so I kind of forget that. But that's what Tuff Bong Records morphed into, and I was invited to be a part of Mach 2.8. However, with all of the issues that I had run into with Tuff Bong Records, I wanted to see some type of success before I was willing to commit to anything again with any of that situation. And it was Sid and Cy, who actually was having issues with Halo Black now, who was supposed to sponsor the tour before, and did give us a bunch of shirts. I mean, that was one thing they did do. So Halo Black no longer exists. Tuff Bong Records no longer exists. Blue Felix goes and gets this new manager who falls in love with their guitarist and basically breaks up the band because she's telling them what to do. And I guess they didn't have the knowledge to say, hold on a second, we have opinions and ideas too. And they just ran with everything that she said. And that really created a lot of friction between us. And it probably shouldn't have, because like she did reach out to me and she tried to hire me at a New Year's Eve party. And I said, yeah, let's play it. But she wanted to hire me, and she also wanted my DJ to play. And at the time, I was like, if you're going to hire me, that's fine. But if you also want to hire my DJ, like, that's a separate fee, because he's doing a totally different job than what we do together. So I was trying to get him paid. And from that point forward, there was friction. Like, I was a dickhead. Like, it had nothing to do with me. I was going to get paid either way if I would have done that show. I was trying to get my DJ paid, which he probably wouldn't even have gave a fuck. I mean, he's got other avenues of income. Let's just say that he's taken care of a little different than I am, but it wouldn't have made a difference to him. It did make a difference to me. So we didn't get the gig because I was kind of a hard ass to her, because I was tired of her being a hard ass to everybody around me, because up till then we were all, I guess, on the same page and, wanting to work for the same goals and the same situations. So anyway, as I said, there's this Vegas show, Las Vegas, Nevada, Mandalay Bay, House of Blues, DJ Starscream, featuring Izzy Dunfore. 2 nights, Friday night and Monday night, Memorial Day. It's the great weekend. Can't wait. I go out there with a camera crew, take my girlfriend, her grandma, take my dad, take a couple friends, take a merch person. my DJ, and of course myself. So I think there was 9 of us. Show up to Las Vegas. Like, yeah, it's going to be great. Can't wait. Show up, check into the hotel. Like, yeah, checking in sucks. Yeah, get all stretched out like we made it. This is awesome. I'm like, man, let's go check out the venue. This is so excited. So I'm on the way to the venue. I called John, Big John, the guy who's, you know, the promoter or put the show together. My old babysitter from Baxter, Iowa. Funny how it works like that. Little town of 1,000 up to Las Vegas, Nevada, booking shows. I get a hold of Big John. He's like, hey, what up, dude? What are you doing? I'm like, I just got to Vegas. What's up, man? He's like, what do you mean? I'm out of town right now. What are you doing? It's like, well, we're here for the show this weekend. What's cracking, man? Like, what do you mean you're out of town? He's like, oh, you mean you don't know? And at that point, like, my heart sank, my stomach rose, and I got the worst, fucking absolute worst feeling in my life. And then he hit me with it. Your show's canceled, bro. You know that, right? And I said, no, I don't know that, right? What do you mean my show's canceled? He's like, yeah, man, Sid called the House of Blues yesterday and wanted his girlfriend to be accommodated the same way that he was to be accommodated. So he decided he didn't want to sign the contract, and now there's somebody else taking your spot. Chemical Brothers are going to play instead. Izzy Dunfore is no longer welcome to play the House of Blues. And I'm there with my crew, with my gear, with my shit. And I guess that was probably the most embarrassed that I'd probably ever been in my life. And that was the point where I called Sid Wilson and let him know that that was the absolute last straw, that everything that I had tried to work with on his team was disorganized and it never works out and nobody ever does the right thing, and it's always everybody else's fault because everything's wrong and chaotic. And I was tired of it. That was the end. So, I was okay with that at that point. Like, I had gone through so much just, you know, just negative energy for no reason. Like, like I said, I cared what he thought, and I thought that he was my friend. And I learned that this music business, through that relationship, is definitely not, it's not the same as a friendship. It's not the same as having somebody who's your pal. So either way, this all keeps kind of continuing. The About to See video. After that, he had told me, because he saw the About to See video, and I told him, we're going to work on another video. I'd really like it if you could actually be a part of this one. And he's like, oh man, I can't make it to that, but you should take my Slipknot chain so we can be represented somehow in the video, man. And I was like, I don't think so. You know, like, that's not really representing the video, or I don't feel like it represents anything that we're trying to do right now, I'll tell you the truth. So I didn't take the necklace, which is a good thing, because that was the very last time outside of the new Mach 2.8 studio that Sid had built. That was the very last conversation that he and I had on good terms. So at that point, it was like I broke free from everything. I wasn't getting along with Blue Felix anymore because I didn't do the fucking show with One Republic, the after party. I didn't get along with Mach 2.8 / Tuff Bong Records anymore because I had done enough bullshit and wasn't getting any respect. And I was done with at the time, Cy was also supposed to be my manager, I guess. You could call him that. Not that he ever did any fucking thing. All he did was listen to me bitch about everything that nobody was doing a lot. and I did bitch a lot, and I would yell at him, and I would say, why did you even sign me to a deal if you weren't going to even try to help me at all? Like, I'm so appreciative and grateful for the recordings, but there's a whole nother job that needs to be done that nobody is doing, and I'm the one who's getting left in the dust, and everybody else has other means of finances and is able to fall back on something else. This is my fallback. Like, this is the only thing I've got. I don't have $1 million sitting in the bank. I don't have a family that has everything in the world to give to me. I don't have those resources that are just waiting for me to do whatever I want with. Like, I have nothing. And at that point, I guess it just made sense to me to be solo, 100%. Like, no more asking permission for anything, no more looking for feedback from people in my circle. And so the crazy part about all that is, I after, I don't know, 6 more months, moved to Minnesota. And it was at that point, I guess, the Blue Felix and Izzy Dunfore relationship totally changed. So the person I was in a relationship with had an empty house. It was only maybe 20 minutes away from where the Blue Felix headquarters was at. So my idea and my wish was to move to Minnesota, which this house was offered to me because it was empty. There was nobody in it. It was a place to stay. They said I didn't have to pay any rent. I was going to be able to be close to my friends. Hopefully we were going to just be wildly and madly successful and rich beyond our wildest dreams. And it was all just going to be amazing. So 2008, 2009 New Year, I moved to Minnesota. I had Christmas with my family in 2008 with the plan of leaving immediately afterwards. So I start 2009 in Minnesota. We do the video for Do What I Want through a party at the house that I'm talking about. That's where Dunfore Ranch was. We threw festivals out there, which I wanted Blue Felix to be a part of, and it like I said, this is the point where everything kind of really went 2 different directions. They decided that me being up there just wasn't part of their plan. And Jake and I did get together one time on good terms while I was living up there. And that was the time that he told me the story of him jumping off the stage and kicking his ex-girlfriend in the back of the head, which at a show and as a performer, I didn't know how to react to. I guess that was one of the biggest turnoffs as a friend, hearing him tell me the story and just kind of shrugging it off like it was no big deal. Like, in my mind, I felt like that was really, really bad. And I knew that I had to have at least a little bit of distance personally for that specific reason. Now, yeah, Fat Camp, that was the first festival that we threw at the Dunfore Ranch. I wanted Blue Felix to be a part of that. They declined. At that time, they actually started working more with DJ Starscream and Cy, who I had fired as a manager because he didn't do anything for me. And so instead of working with the woman who eventually married the guitar player from Blue Felix, and then he quit the band. And then the drummer was fired, I believe, from the band. And then the other guitar player was fired from the band. And then they started hiring other people who are probably really cool people. But that was the point where our friction began. And so it was like the new Blue Felix at the time, I didn't give a fuck, you know, and it was just like, that's not even the same band. That's not my group of friends. Those aren't the same dudes anymore. They don't have the same goals. They've now turned around and gone and picked up the deal that I walked away from because we all couldn't get together and work as a team. So, from the start, my idea was Simply Komplikated, White Trash Records as a whole, Blue Felix and what they were doing, Tuff Bong Records and with Sid's act, all those things together encompassed music, rock, metal, pop, hip hop, rap, all of it. Like, and a good group of people, man. Cool, fucking charismatic people. And once the new band, Blue Felix, got hooked up with Mach 2.8, and they started paying Sid to take them on tours together, and ultimately, at the same time, Sid had sued me for $250,000 because I wasn't working with him anymore, I guess, was what... I got a secret phone call from Cy's ex-girlfriend to tip me off, and she let me know that they were about to sue me for several $1 million, actually. That they had been sitting down and, doing all these calculations and making all these mathematical figures of what I owed because of all the studio time that I had wrapped up in this album that I stole. I paid cash for it, but yeah, I have a written release signed by the manager of the defunct record label, but okay. Either way, so the music that I own and I'm releasing and putting out, I guess they have a problem with, even though he loved the videos that I did for them and wanted to be a part of them originally. Now I'm getting sued $250,000. My former friends at the time, and like I said, I'm trying to be factual. This is not my opinion, but my former friends, which there's still a couple original members of the group Blue Felix playing in the band, decided to take a deal with, and I think they say it was a management deal. I don't know what kind of fucking deal it was, and it don't even matter. I know they paid a lot of money for the deal. The reason I know that is because I hired the booking agent that they were working with at the time. Music is a small world, so it's funny that a lot of people think that they can get away with things or sneak behind the scenes and do this and do that. Well, if somebody else knows, they're probably going to tell somebody else. Like, there's not a lot of secrets. So yeah, one of my booking agents that I hired was their booking agent, and so that was a little awkward. And we were actually kind of trying to put together some weird shit to where he would book them and whatever he was making off of their touring, he was going to split with me so I could get some money out of the fucking situation that I really royally got screwed out of. And he agreed with me about that too. The booking agent did. And as did the lawyers that I had to hire and go to trial by jury in Des Moines, Iowa over. So, well, I think I might save the trial for another show, another story time. But all this leads up, man, to just a big implosion of a really cool friendship, which when it happened, Blue Felix, like I said, had new members. They were doing a lot more shows. Jake had some weird groupie call him up, pretend that she was a supermodel. He fell for it and took the bait. So he kicked his baby's mom out, who was the person that I met him through, my dad's ex-wife's daughter. Kicks her out along with his children and decides that he's going to pursue this supermodel. Well, the supermodel was a fucking, let's just say, not a supermodel. I don't want to trash another person because she's not beautiful, but she was not beautiful like she said she was. And basically, this decision making that was done based on a really fake, false, fraudulent supermodel situation that was not real. And so Jake called me. He's like, I kicked her out. I'm fighting whatever. I hope you don't hate me. It shouldn't matter. But I'm just calling you to let you know all this stuff. And it was that phone call that was just like kind of, that was the other final breaking point. It was just like, he didn't give a fuck what I thought. That was just the last straw of where things were at. It was almost like an admission of everything's falling apart. And from that point forward, I started talking a lot of shit. And I will own that because at that point, everybody had fucking done something to take the plans that we made together and absolutely turn it around to where I had fucking dirt thrown on me and they were getting, showered with rainbows and sunshine. And I had to sit back and just watch everybody enjoy each other pretty much while I was sitting by myself like, what the fuck is even going on here? Like, all I've been trying to do is put everybody else into the same spotlight that I was hoping to enjoy. And then I got fucking outed. Now everybody talks shit about me and I have no friends left. So I put out the song or the album, The Fields of Opportunity, and all hell breaks loose. Like, everybody who I had been friends with at that point, hundreds of people, decide that I'm no longer able to be an acquaintance because they're on a new path. They're following the Blue Felix and the Dogs of Doom and this Mach 2.8 and whatever they were doing. And it was hard for me because I moved up into that situation. So it was like I moved out of getting sued for $250,000 and everybody at my record label saying that I'm a piece of garbage because I wanted to work and wanted to be successful and wanted them to make as much money as I did, into the situation where now even more people are like, fuck you, and even working with the people who were like, fuck you, where I just moved from. So it's everybody against Izzy D. Fields of Opportunity. And if you listen to the album, you can hear my frustration building throughout it. The video, Do What I Want, is the first video that we did at the Dunfore Ranch. If you Google or go to YouTube and search for Fat Camp 2009, they put together like a 15-minute video from that. And it was at that point where I think there was a few people from Blue Felix that came out and actually partied with us, but we weren't. That was the weird part. Like, we were homies, man. Like, those were my brothers, and then all of a sudden they just weren't. And I was very vocal about it. Like, they did a song with Sid, and I swear to God, they did this whole video just in spite of me. The middle fingers up in the air. They originally asked me to be on that song, and I didn't want to be on the song. I didn't really think it was that original. I didn't care for it. They tried to make it their biggest single. They put Sid Wilson, DJ Starscream, Number Zero from Slipknot on it. Did their big video. It got millions of views. They did a simulated junkyard, just like I had come from at the time and was very proud of. I had friends of mine from Iowa in their video. Just a lot of things that were in your face kind of shit. So I don't hold a grudge now, like, especially with the way the world has changed and whatever. I tried to call Jake. He changed his number, so I don't have his current number. I also sent him a message on Facebook. I'm sorry to those guys for all the shit that I talked, even though they hurt me bad. I didn't have to say some of the things that I said. And some of them I said only to try to hurt their feelings. And I think I can be bigger and better than that. And hopefully, maybe, eventually, I'll be able to get in contact with some of those guys. I did get a chance to talk to the NIC. He and I have talked about the situation, giving hugs, handshakes. We're good. Hopefully we get to play some music together. I've been to one of his shows since then. There were altercations, you know what I mean? We were in the same area and the same music scene for a minute. I'm sorry for all of them. No reason for it. Not at all. And hopefully, I don't know if Blue Felix is still doing stuff. I think they are, but I wish them all the luck in the world. Whoever's in the band, I hope you guys are all doing a great job together and feel like you're on the right path. And I'm not going to hold on to any of that old shit, no matter what. It was, like I said, the best time of my life. I hated to see it end, and that is the truth. And that is why I tell these stories, because there are a lot of things that you guys probably don't know. And there's other things I'm probably skipping over or leaving out. And the thing of it is, we all had the same friends. We all had the same people. We all had the same fun. And for whatever reason, you know, we all got a little bit of attention, and then everything went the wrong way. I feel like for everybody. I don't feel like anybody was more successful because of the decisions that any of us made. Not at all. So, like I said, maybe one day we'll get past it and reconnect, and that is my ultimate hope and wish with this story time, that, you know, with my story, I fucked up a few different times. And I guess these little hours, hour and a half now, whatever it is that I get to talk, it's me getting through it. Like, I didn't stop to enjoy any of these moments, to tell you the truth. So this is what I got now that there's a pandemic, and this is what life is. I'd rather have those mistakes that I made at least brought to light and hopefully moved forward from, and my, you know, personal feelings can finally be good, because I'm tired of the grudges. I do a morning show if you guys want to hang out, listen to some music, guys. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Mountain Time. It's called The Unmasked Underground. I've been doing it for about 3 months now. I'm hoping to try to do a little update here come at the switch of the month. But thank you guys for hanging out with me for as long as you have. Hopefully you had fun. I'm just telling my story, guys. Like I said, I don't want to put anybody down, and hopefully in telling this story, you guys, you know, might go check out the song My Time to Go. It was on Blue Felix's album In Line to Die. That was one of the best times of my life, and I think it might have been the same for them. So I won't speak for them, though. Maybe they'll do their own version of our story. But I just want to say thanks for hanging with me, guys. I'm gonna let it go for the night. See you in the morning. If you want to come hang out on my like page, give me a like. Hit my Facebook, Izzy Dunfore. See you guys. Have a great night. Peace.